So let's talk about caring about the American people. The American people have had to sacrifice far too much because of the incompetence of this administration.
The running mates take the debate stage.
From the very first day, President Donald Trump has put the health of America first.
The vice president defending the Trump administration, and a push from Kamala Harris to show how a Biden administration would lead.
Defying state health orders.
Governments can't use the First Amendment to censor private individuals.
A Colorado Bible conference goes on as planned, hundreds in attendance, despite a judge and the state saying it can't happen.
I think the story was the catalyst of putting out the question to our community.
Tonight, more perspectives, more insight into our 360 report on whether elected leaders should be on the streets protesting.
Just because I was sent to do a job by voters does not mean those constitutional rights magically disappear from me.
Boy, a big difference on the debate stage tonight. Vice President Mike Pence and Senator Kamala Harris going back and forth in a certainly much more civilized debate. The two, though, clearly offering stark differences in policy.
Coronavirus, the economy, the president's taxes. Tonight, we are breaking this down 360 style, and we start with Chief Investigator Tony Kowaleski.
Both candidates came out verbally strong, starting with two perspectives on the response to COVID-19.
The American people have witnessed what is the greatest failure of any presidential administration in the history of our country.
Senator, I just ask you, stop playing politics with people's lives. The reality is that we will have a vaccine, we believe, before the end of this year.
They knew what was happening, and they didn't tell you.
And I think the American people know that this is a president who has put the health of America first, and the American people, I believe with my heart, can be proud of the sacrifices they have made.
On the economy, the two VP candidates drew lines in the political sand.
America, you just heard Senator Harris tell you, on day one, Joe Biden's going to raise your taxes. Senator Harris, you're entitled to your own opinion, but you're not entitled to your own facts. You yourself said on multiple occasions when you were running for president that you would ban fracking.
I will repeat, and the American people know, that Joe Biden will not ban fracking. That is a fact. I will repeat that Joe Biden has been very clear that he thinks about growing jobs, which is why he will not increase taxes for anyone who makes less than $400,000 a year.
And the debate got a little heated when the two candidates started talking taxes.
The truth and the fact is, Joe Biden has been very clear. He will not raise taxes on anybody who makes less than $400,000 a year.
He said he's going to repeal the Trump tax cuts.
Mr. Vice President, I'm speaking.
Well, wait.
I'm speaking.
It'd be important if you said the truth. Joe Biden said twice in the debate last week that he's going to repeal the Trump tax cuts.
The final issue of the night, similar to the presidential debate, a question on the peaceful transfer of power.
We believe in the American people. We believe in our democracy. And here's what I'd like to say to everybody. Vote.
And we have a free and fair election. We know we're going to have confidence in it. And I believe in all my heart that President Donald Trump's going to be reelected.
So debate and analysts calculated less than 20 interruptions during the 90-minute debate, far fewer than what we saw in the presidential debate. Up next, unless rescheduled, the final presidential debate will be next Thursday night. Ann?
Tony, thank you. And the president taking to Twitter throughout the debate, applauding the vice president for his performance, writing, "Mike Pence is doing great. She is a gaffe machine." Joe Biden also taking to Twitter, writing, "Donald Trump has made hate, division, and dog whistles central to his campaign from the very beginning. And last week, he couldn't even condemn white supremacists. It's a pattern."
And tonight, as part of our 360 reporting, we got reaction from both parties here in Colorado. The vice chairwoman for the state Republican Party applauded Vice President Pence's performance, saying he got the message out about what his team has done and what they will do.
President Trump and his administration have been fighting for the American people, and they have been finding ways to create jobs in the middle of this pandemic and to stand up to world powers like China.
He also says the potential for a Biden-Harris ticket to crack down on fossil fuels would be devastating to Colorado's energy industry.
Also tonight, we're hearing from Colorado Democratic Congressman Jason Crow, who says Senator Harris proved why the Biden-Harris ticket is a smart choice to lead us out of this health crisis, rebuild our economy, and restore trust in government.
Senator Harris was using facts. You know, we're still in an era where facts matter, the truth matters, reality matters. Vice President Pence repeatedly made up his own facts, was distorting the truth, and just outright misled people on many occasions.
Congressman Crow says when it came to questions about racial injustice and even climate change, a stark contrast, saying Vice President Mike Pence couldn't recognize those problems. And we invite you to join us on Friday for a debate between Senator Cory Gardner and John Hickenlooper. It will air right here on Denver7. I will be moderating alongside colleagues at the Denver Post and Colorado Public Radio. It starts at 5 p.m. right here on Denver7.
President Trump releasing another video statement this afternoon, praising the experimental drugs he received in the hospital. They are not available to most Americans who are battling this virus.
I want everybody to be given the same treatment as your president, because I feel great. I feel like perfect. So I think this was a blessing from God that I caught it. This was a blessing in disguise.
The president working from the Oval Office today against CDC guidelines of isolating for at least 10 days from the onset of symptoms. The White House physician says President Trump has been symptom-free for 24 hours. And just a stunning move today. The prestigious medical journal, New England Journal of Medicine, published an editorial criticizing the Trump administration for its response to the pandemic. In its 208-year history, that journal has never supported or condemned a political candidate. It says through foolish, reckless mistakes, this administration has taken a crisis and turned it into a tragedy.
A religious nonprofit is defying state orders tonight, hosting a week-long religious conference in Woodland Park that is drawing hundreds.
Now, despite a judge's ruling that it can't happen and the state trying to put a stop to it, Andrew Womack Ministry says they're just exercising their constitutional right.
Here is Denver7's Eddie Guajardo.
One after another, vehicles filed into Charis Bible College in Woodland Park. They're here for a week-long religious conference held by Andrew Womack Ministries International. It kicked off Monday.
Online is no substitute for in-person.
700 people signed up, and about 500 are attending in person, a violation of state public health orders.
The public health orders in Colorado allow conferences such as this one to go with 175 people per room.
Problem is, the public health order prohibits indoor gatherings at 175 people per building, not per room. Andrew Womack Ministries asked a judge for an exemption to that rule, saying that it violates their constitutional rights. A judge shot it down, and an appeal was also shot down.
The virus doesn't care whether you're singing hymns or watching a football game or having a barbecue. If you have 50, 100, 300 people in close proximity without masks, you are risking a super spreader event that will cost lives and set our entire state back.
The state also issued an injunction late Tuesday to try to stop the event. It still went on as planned.
It's clear under Governor Jared Polis's orders that religious organizations and places of worship are not getting equal treatment, which the First Amendment demands that they receive.
Liberty Counsel founder Matt Staver, who's representing the ministry, says they're taking necessary precautions, including temperature checks, activity zoning, and requiring staff and volunteers to wear masks. Teller County residents weighed in on the gathering.
It is concerning. They seem to do what they want. They should follow the rules.
I'm a friend of Charis's, so I guess they can do what they want.
Back in July, the nonprofit hosted a similar event. Health records show more than 60 people contracted the virus and one person died. In a statement, the nonprofit says what it does is essential. A spokesperson for Teller County Public Health says the law being broken is civil, not criminal, so they can't shut down the conference. Staver made it clear the conference will go on and they will file appeals as necessary. Addie Guajardo, Denver7.
And the COVID numbers today aren't good. In Colorado, we added more than 730 cases of coronavirus to our state count. That is the third highest single-day increase in the last 2 months. Obviously, state health leaders want that number lower. We also have more than 369 hospital beds in use. We have not had numbers that high since July 22nd, when 373 hospital beds were in use. Now, the goal of our 360 storytelling is to get conversations going by showing you multiple perspectives on sometimes controversial issues. And we have always promised to continue those conversations as new perspectives are shared with us.
So our 360 report Monday night about local elected leaders taking part in protest certainly got a lot of people talking, the true spirit of 360. It also sparked a healthy debate on social media with some of the leaders we interviewed, bringing to light new perspectives.
So Denver7's Jennifer Kovaleski circled back with those leaders to talk about those perspectives and keep this conversation going.
I think the story was the catalyst of putting out the question to our community: should elected leaders be actively participating in protesting? And the answer is yes.
When we posed the question, the feedback came pouring in. It led to elected leaders here and across the country tweeting, "I am an elected official and I protest. My title is not a muzzle. Pass it on."
You guys good?
And then local leaders held this press conference in Denver Wednesday evening.
This is nothing new. When they want these movements to stop, they target the leadership.
We are not separate from the people. When I got elected, I did not lose my constitutional rights. I am an extension of the people that I represent.
We're here to set the record straight so folks understand that protesting is the voice of our unheard.
We featured Denver School Board Director Tay Anderson in our original 360. He's participated and led Black Lives Matter protests. He wanted to speak to us again and add a new 360 perspective we didn't tackle in the first story.
It's not an attack on Denver7 or one journalist. It's simply to say this was a great start to start a larger conversation and to expose the hypocrisy that represents itself for those who have different party affiliations that will do this same action unsafe. Even sometimes that is not the most safest way to do it, but then they're the ones that are the most critical of us.
He's talking about Majority Leader Patrick Neville, seen here at this rally in protest of coronavirus precautions. Neville responded to the recent criticism in a statement, writing, "The contrast is clear. All the protests I attended were actually 100% peaceful from our side, while the other side encouraged attacks against us. Democrat elected officials have encouraged riots with language like burn it down." And it's that perspective Councilwoman Allison Coombs takes issue with.
Because the leaders of the civil rights movement were similarly attacked.
We interviewed Coombs in our first story. She points out when other people protest for different movements, it seems to be fine, and says the historical context needs to be a part of the 360 conversation.
Dr. King was the most hated man in America during his lifetime. That the protest movement that he was a part of was accused of causing riots. And so this narrative that we're facing is not new. I hope that the takeaway is that we recognize the validity of this movement, that we are not consistently hearing a story about our lawlessness, but rather that we can talk about the fact that we're standing up for justice and for people's lives.
I'm Denver7 investigator Jennifer Kovaleski.
And it's never too late to weigh in. We want to keep this conversation going, so please email us, 360@thedenverchannel.com. You can always leave a comment on our Denver7 Facebook or Twitter pages.
Everything, all my blood, sweat, and tears.
He's made it his mission to make his flooring business a success.
Who would do something like that?
After thieves put him out of work, the Denver7 community is coming together to help this Coloradan get back on his feet.
I literally have like hair sticking out, like it's chills.
It's going to be even warmer tomorrow with record high temperatures possible.